This is Shay Bynes, founder and chief fire igniter of Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur, and this is the KDE Podcast Live. With a beautifully diverse panel of co-hosts, get ready for powerful and fresh perspectives of what it looks like to be a Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur. Let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm going to say that every time, you guys. So just, get used to it, okay?
Oh, we are used to it.
So yes. Let's go.
Wouldn't be the same without it, Latara.
Welcome to KDE Podcast Live. So glad you are here with us today. I am Latara Venice, and we are here with our awesome hosts, Phil, Dory, and Alicia this week. Next week, you'll see more of us. We're going to have some weeks where you see quite a few of the hosts at one time. And I love that. This week, though, there are 4 of us. But trust me, you'll still get some good content, some good stuff. As we discuss we're going to talk about spiritual gifts again today. I have been on a high since last week. So that's going to be a little dangerous about the spiritual gifts. And
Well, we've been warned. Okay. Ready.
All those other things. And so this is going to be a great conversation today. I'm super excited about what we're going to talk about today. Funny thing is that this week, you guys, we don't have no questions. So I want to hear, what's going on with y'all? What's new? What's good? This time I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start with Phil because he said he has a new and a good. He know what he was going to share.
Yeah. Let me tell you, my body's telling me what to share. I started back at the gym, and so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I was looking at my myself in the mirror, and last time I got on the scale, I don't like what it said. So I was like, what? It's that time. So I've been going back to the gym, and I know myself, once I get started, it's easy for me to be consistent. I actually like working out. It's just, I've been filling that space with other stuff. And so I'm back in there. I said to I use my daughter and my wife for accountability. I was like, if I don't go to the gym this month, I'm canceling my membership. So you guys hold me accountable, right? Because I've been paying them for a good, probably 6-7 months. This is a new gym that, it just reopened up. It's like, I want to be one of those founding members. And I did, and I haven't seen the inside of the gym yet, right? This week, I've seen it. I've seen it all 3 days so far. So we're doing pretty good.
A lot of people are like that, Phil. They sign up, but they don't show up. They got the idea, but it's taking that initiative and being disciplined enough to have a workout schedule.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Phil. I really love that whole thought around. I just stopped joining gyms. I work out at home. I found myself, I just stopped because I'm not going. So, I'm just going to be honest. So I stopped wasting that money. And I prefer to work out at home because I just feel a little bit more comfortable for me. So, but that's good. I'm proud of you. I can't wait to see those muscles come in, I can't wait to see those muscles come in. That is awesome. All right. Miss Alicia, our mayoral candidate.
Yes. So I don't have a whole lot new to this week. Just continue to work on with things. I'm really excited. The coffee shop is catering a media event for I'm not sure if it's a media event or like an advertising event for our local radio station Ad Astra Radio, and that's kind of exciting because not only do I get to be there as myself, so I get to have an opportunity to visit with different business leaders in our community and our surrounding communities, but also then the coffee shop is catering the event, so I get to show up for the coffee shop as well. So that's kind of a fun. I don't usually get that opportunity to show up as both things at once freely. So I think God's like pushing me out of my comfort zone a little bit. And this is step 1. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That is cool. I love that. I just love it. I'm excited to see all this stuff. Don't be shocked if I probably will be coming down there.
I'm okay because I'm heading your way. Just you wait.
Yeah, you are. We got plans. I got to do my homework. Alicia gave me homework. How's she gonna give me homework? I don't understand.
Well, I have homework too, so turnabout is fair play, right?
Okay, we gave each other homework. There we go. All right, good stuff. Dory, what's going on with you?
Well, I know it might be hard to believe, but I am a grandma. And so we have 3 grandkids, and the youngest graduated from preschool earlier. I had to rush back for the podcast. And I thought for sure, the daughter-in-law, she's going to lose it because the last one is graduating and going off to kindergarten. And I'm looking, she's fine. I lost it. I tried to hold it, and they were like, allergies, But they were just so cute. They sang some songs and things, and then they had their cap and gown, and they gave them diplomas, and they gave them a Bible because it was a Christian preschool. It was really cute. But
I love it.
one is going on to kindergarten, so they're all growing up, and I feel a little old, but not really.
I love it. I love it. No, not old. No. I always say, listen, Caleb was 85 years old when he went and possessed what was his. So he was like, give me my land. And he fought for it at 85. So listen. And that 84-year-old back there, listen.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story, right? I love it. What's been up with me? I thought this was so funny. Last week, my internet went out, and it was out for like about 3 hours, and it was out in the area, and actually found out it was out in Oklahoma and like surrounding states because somebody stole the fiber wire, y'all. How do you do that? I mean, what did you think? Because they said it's more valuable than copper these days, right? You hear about people stealing copper all the time, but how do you steal the fiber? So I'm sitting here for 3 hours without internet because somebody decided to steal the fiber wire. My life, every day it's a laugh. I tell you, I don't know about y'all, but every day it's like, okay, really, this is happening. Yeah, so that was really what was like the highlight of my last week was when they stole the copper wire, and a couple other things, but some things are somebody else's business. I can't share that until he announces it. But when he, of course, it's one of my children, so when he announces it, then I'll share about his good news, the baby boy. I'll just say that it's the baby boy, not the oldest boy. The oldest boy already shared his news, Mr. Pastor. He already shared his news, right? So, but Phil, I want you to talk a little bit about what's going on with KDE this week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're having a taste and see event, and it started last night. And so it's just an opportunity for people that have been around the movement to be able to come in and experience a little bit of what it looks like to be an igniter. Each day I think it's a different theme where we're highlighting a little bit of what we do in igniters, and so it's been pretty cool. I didn't make it to last night, but I believe I'll be there tonight. Oh,
cool. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow night, so I'm excited to see all the people. It reminds me of I always love Igniter. I call it Rush Week. I always love Rush Week. Because I love to see people that we don't know or people we haven't seen in a long time, come through and connect. And, one thing about Igniters is that, we're family. I mean, it's like a family, and somebody can go away and come back, and it's just like they never left. And so I really love that atmosphere, that community that we build over there. So if you are on the list and you got that and you didn't sign up, you didn't register, you go on and click the link and make sure you register and get on in there and get the teas. I think tonight it's kind of like cohort, like they learn about what the cohort is about. And I think tomorrow night is Q&A with Shay. So that'll be really cool too. That'll be really cool too. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I am excited about that and what we're doing. Okay. Sorry, you guys, have a couple things going on in the background, and sometimes it throws me off. That's that mother thing. Like, what's going on?
Trying to keep Alicia in line behind the screens here.
Yeah, that's that mother thing. But we're all good. We are all good. So listen, we don't have any questions today. If I ask my question, what's up with y'all? What's good? What's new? What's happening? Talk a little bit about KDE and what's going on over there. So we're gonna hop right into Joy's segment. She's talking about collaboration today, so I'm really excited about that. Really, especially with the season I'm in, and I'll share a little bit more after we hear from Joy.
Did you know that two or more working together accomplish more than a solopreneur who works alone? Hi, I'm Joy, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Collaboration. It's defined as the process of two or more working together to achieve a shared goal and complete a task. But to collaborate well, you also need something else. You need good, clear communications, because collaboration and communications, they go hand in hand. Now, I know that sounds like a common sense no-brainer, but sadly, there's few that embrace that concept due to a laundry list of preconceived challenges and misconceptions. But the fact of the matter is, with 80% of small businesses in the US alone operating as solopreneurs, and over 1.5 billion solopreneurs in the global workforce, today's rapidly growing entrepreneurial digital world has made working alone a mainstream concept. Now, I know that sounds daunting, or maybe to some of you introverts it sounds good, but the good news is this. As kingdom-driven entrepreneurs, we, you and me, have permission, nay, it's better than that. We have been instructed to collaborate and communicate with others. Seriously, you see, in Ecclesiastes, it teaches us that two are better than one. Why? Because collaboration and communications helps us communicate and accomplish more. When one falls down, the other one can help us up. And Amos 3 teaches us that two people, well, they can't go walking together. They can't collaborate together without agreeing on the direction. Here's the deal. If we are called to collaborate and communicate with others, then the marketing communications that we create can also be used to strategically help us connect with our audience on a deeper level and fuel our business growth. So let's take the next minute or so to unpack 3 different ways that you can weave collaborative communications into your marketing. The first one is shift your focus off yourself. Now, you may have heard me talk about that before in different ways, but here's what you need to know. I statements, they're great for establishing your authority, but it also creates a very one-sided communication and conversation. You'll build more connections and collaborations and relationships with your audience when you shift your marketing communications from I to we and you. Yeah, the fact of the matter is that we and you language can help you build trust by demonstrating empathy. For example, we understand what keeps you up at night. You can also foster community and belonging. For example, find your tribe. Join our Igniter community with kingdom-driven entrepreneurs. Or last but certainly not least, share success stories and accomplishments, and do it this way. Dory's drumming therapy digs into your heart and soul to unlock what's holding you back. So that's the first one. Shift your focus off yourself. The second one, showcase your collaborations that you do through storytelling. Now, there's a number of ways you can do that. Share impactful stories that highlight those successful collaborations. But you don't want the next War and Peace novel. You want to do it in 2 to 3 sentences that show the journey, moving from obstacles to teamwork to end result. You can also highlight those diverse perspectives. I mean, diversity is a big deal these days, and in 1 to 2 sentences, you can call out how different perspectives from the collaborators contributed to the solution. And then weave collaborative problem solving into your narratives. And amplify your emotional connections. Why? Because God created you and me as emotional creatures, and that's how we connect, communicate, collaborate, and relate. And then last but not least for this one, you want to connect those collaboration stories back to your solutions. So the first one was shift your focus off yourself. The second one was to showcase collaboration through storytelling. And the third one, I want you to consider featuring your collaborations in your marketing communications. Show how the expertise of others complements yours. Doing so is going to help you reach new audiences, increase your credibility, demonstrate your expertise and value, lead to stronger relationships with collaborators and potential customers. All right, just to recap, I want you to shift your focus off yourself, showcase collaboration through storytelling, and feature collaborators in your marketing communications. And as you think about those collaborative communication tips, I want to leave you with 2 more thoughts. As Helen Keller, who was blind, said, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." And while you chew on that and think about collaborations you can do, consider joining the collaborative community for kingdom-driven entrepreneurs called Igniters. Open enrollment is happening right now, and our KDE Live hosts can share with you the link for learning more. Back to you guys.
That was good. Now, I don't have a link for y'all, but that was good.
I was gonna say she put us on the spot. I'm like, ooh, where's that link?
Oh gosh, maybe I'll try to locate it when we get ready to move, and I'll when we move on and Phil is talking, and then I'll pop it in.
Mhm.
Well, and I think Joy is in the audience today, so she may be able to put it into the comments too.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you so much. I was like, oh, a link. Okay. Joy's getting the link now. That's what I love about Joy. She's always on time, and that was such an awesome video, and I love what she shared, the different things, especially the storytelling piece. Because I love storytelling. I love it. So I thought that was really good. What about you guys?
Well, I'd just like to say thanks, Joy, for highlighting me this time. I appreciate it. I don't feel left out at all. I busted her chops last time because she didn't mention me. So yeah, she's making up for that. Number one. Number two, that was really good. I think I need to hire her.
Yeah, it was good. Alicia, Phil?
Yeah, there was a piece that she talked about just to really briefly. I'm sorry, Phil, for talking over you. Okay. There was a piece she talked about just really briefly when she was talking about the storytelling with the collaboration about the diversity. And boy, that has been such a huge thing for me. I was just a real quick anecdotal circumstances. Like I was in a meeting just planning for the future of a community, really. And I was sitting across the table from someone who had a similar faith background to me, but had a completely and utterly opposite opinion about how to grow a community. And I spent a lot of time being really offended by that point of view that she had, until one day when Holy Spirit like told me to slow my roll. Literally, it was like, "Hey, slow down." And me, she wants me. And when I recognized that we actually had the same end goal that we were working toward, then I could start looking at how the value of her opposite opinion of mine about how to get to the end goal. And we were able to work together, and both of us were able to add value to what we were doing in the process. And it was pretty amazing. So I think that diversity part is so important when it comes to collaboration. You're collaborating with someone who has something that you don't have, including thoughts.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I love that. Yeah, we have to always be open to that. Phil?
Yeah, the part that stuck out to me was because I never thought about it like this before, like actually highlighting through story your collaboration, right? It's almost like you're highlighting that you're collaborative and showing people how to do it. It's like where you know how the scripture says the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So, you know, we get an opportunity to prophesy that people can work together in collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was good. That stuck out to me.
Yeah, people can work together in collaboration. That I love that, and it's true. You can. Alicia kind of talked about some of the things you have to do in so many ways, and one is kind of like really, it's not about you. Let's relinquish. You have to relinquish that. You know that it's about me, and I love that. You know, as Joy was talking at the very beginning, actually about the whole solopreneur thing, God brought it to my attention that I'm kind of in that space again. Like I had a team, and this whole team is kind of shifting because I was like, okay, well, where's everybody going? Well, because I'm shifting, because my business is shifting, and so many things are shifting. And so I realized, wow, okay, whoa, what does this look like? So now I'm collaborating with people in a different way. So I don't feel like I'm by myself, as I am like almost literally rebuilding um my brand and what I offer. So it's interesting. She started that, and then she kind of started talking, and so I'm looking forward to showcasing through storytelling how I've been collaborating with people through this process that God has me going through. Because He's like, "Yeah, this is all new for you, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, it's been, God, I'm a solopreneur. I don't even know what that looks like anymore, and I'm not a solopreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. But right now, there are things that I have to do by myself. I'm literally, so it's teaching me a lot. And that's what collaboration does. What do I delegate? What do I leave over here? What do I, where do I need to be focused on? And is there someone who could help me focus over in this area? So this is going to be an interesting ride. So I'm glad she gave me those tips. Those are really good. Because again, collaboration is key in the kingdom. It really is. It's so good. So good. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, actually, I do. My son stopped by recently, and he's also an entrepreneur, and he does video editing and things like that. And I've been at this for a long, long time, but he hasn't. And we were just talking about
Mhm.
how important it is to have others to, if nothing else, to brainstorm with and bounce ideas off of. Because he says, Mommy, it can get pretty lonely. I said, yeah, it can, because if you're home and you're focused and doing things online predominantly, yeah, I do go out and do other events and workshops and things like that. But you do spend a lot of time, me, myself, and I, and that's
Yeah.
actually not good, because you are not taking advantage of other members in the community who could help. And you're blessing them, they're blessing you. It's a mutual exchange, especially if you connect with the right people. It can work really, really well.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. That's good. I love that. This whole, again, we can take this all kind of ways, but those 3 tips about shifting your focus, storytelling to showcase collaborations, and featuring them in your marketing communications, that is so important. I was just telling um some people the other night. I said, the best way that you can support people, the best way you can collaborate with people is to talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it and where people can find them and what that looks
Yep.
like. And so, when she talked about featuring those collabs in your marketing communications, I thought that was really good too. So this was good. This was good. This was good. This was great. Joy, you know what? I just love you. She's so smart, y'all. She's so smart. She's
Wealth
so
of
smart.
information.
And she said that tonight she's the host and that Pat and Tasha are leading a Q&A session tonight. So that's what tonight is all about, as far as in the taste and see. I call it tease, but we'll say taste and see. So make sure you guys join us for Rush Week this week and find out more about the Igniters program. Listen, we started a great conversation last week about spiritual gifts and them being irrevocable. And I really loved the conversation that Alicia led last week, and it went places we didn't even think it was going to go. And so this week I was like, okay, how are we moving? What are we doing? And I thought about, okay, I really want to continue this conversation of spiritual gifts, which we kind of hinted on last week anyway. So this week, Phil is leading, the Arthur of the rapid fires here. I would mess with him and say, you really need to just compile them all and put them in a book. So, but I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah, all these things are sitting places, and eventually they will find their way into something. Maybe a blog, maybe a book. Who knows? I don't know.
Yes, my goodness.
But the
So
Lord
much
is
good
good, and
stuff.
His mercy endures forever.
All right. Well, Phil, let's talk about this week. We're talking about spiritual gifts, and we kind of led to fruit of the spirit last week. I think we touched on a little bit. So I think
Yeah.
today we're going to go a little bit deeper. So let's have that conversation.
Yeah. So we'll start with the foundation scripture I have here, which is John 15, 1 and 2. And it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Right. And so when we first started out this conversation about spiritual gifts, it's a great conversation. We talked about how God gives us spiritual gifts because he wants to give us a gift, right?
Mhm.
We also talked about how those spiritual gifts serve the people around us, right? And so what I wanted to highlight in this particular rapid fire was that in order to like really display our spiritual gifts to the fullness, we have to work on making sure our character is right, and that is the fruit of the spirit, right?
Mhm.
If we don't lead with love, like Paul says, everything that we do is every gift that we possess is like a gong, right? It's loud, it's
Yeah.
clingy, right? If we don't have love. And so that's the starting point of this conversation. So I'll get right into it. God blesses us with gifts to show us how he loves us, which should cause us to desire more of the gift giver. Unfortunately, not everyone who receives a gift shows genuine appreciation for the one giving the gift. God is not like us. He does not become petty when his children are unappreciative or immature when receiving his gift. God's love is unwavering, and it is this love that makes the gifts of God irrevocable, right? The fact that he loves us so much that he'll give, and even when we're acting up, he's not going to take away, right? That's what makes his gifts irrevocable. But there is a proper way that we should receive all the gifts of God, and there's a proper character that we should operate in to show that we are mature, children that are mature and know how to wield or handle those gifts most appropriately. But what do you guys think so far?
Phil, it's interesting because way back when I used to work with a lot of students as a educational consultant and a private tutor, and I was in admissions and all that. And so even recently, I've gone out to high schools to talk to them about what's it like to be a business owner, is what they really wanted. I said, you're actually going to get a threefer. And here's why. I'm going to talk to these students about finding out what their gifts are. And I took a poll. It was 4 groups of students. I had them for 20 minutes apiece, and hardly any of them really knew what their gifts were or what they wanted to do. And I was stunned. I'm thinking, well, high schools need to get with the program and at least give these kids a chance to discover what are the gifts that God gave them. Of course, it was a public high school, so I couldn't go that route. But I did tell them everyone has at least one gift. You were born with it. It's in your DNA. You have to discover what that gift is and how to use it. And I did tell them, guess what? It's not about you. It's about how you can give back to others. But they had no idea. So I asked them all these different questions. What are you passionate about? What can you do really well that nobody else can? Typical things that a coach would ask. And they couldn't answer them. I thought, oh man, it's
Wow.
like, this is a tough crowd here. I had a drum, fortunately. So I talked a bit about the drumming and all, and how that entered into the picture, and how that was a gift that I had early on as far as rhythm, but I didn't explore it until much later in life. So I said, you'll have many things. Many gifts will surface. There's a season for everything. And you just have to figure out, what gift do you need to use in this season of life or in the next few years. They were like, wow, okay. Thought it would be a fun event. It got them, out. We were outside. I got them out of class and I'm drumming. What's not to like, But yeah, discovering what your gifts are and what God has given you and what you need to be using is very, very important. Helps with your identity.
That's good. That's good. Alicia, you got anything?
I'm stewing about this. I may have brought this up last week, but a gift that seems to often pop out for me is a prophetic gifting. And we have a responsibility with our gifts, and I think that's one of these things that Phil's talking about is, what kind of fruit do you bear? What type of fruit does your gift bear? And something that just has been so just heavy with me lately is that, I believe it's in Revelation where it says the spirit of prophecy is a testimony of Jesus Christ. And so if you are operating in a prophetic gifting and it is not pointing to Jesus Christ, then you still may be operating in that prophetic gifting, but it's not bearing the fruit that it's supposed to be bearing, right? And I'm looking at, this Galatian scripture that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And all of those things are a picture of what Jesus looks like, right? They're so it has to have some resemblance of Jesus. So as I was listening to Phil talk, that's just the thing that really resonates with me over and over, is just this, just what a responsibility we have to properly steward what God has given us. And there's a weightiness to that, not a heaviness, because he doesn't give us heavy burdens, but there's a weightiness to the responsibility that we have as believers to properly utilize the things that he's given us. So that's what really just resonates with me in this.
Can I just clarify one thing, so I don't want to confuse the listeners? When I was talking earlier about what my talk to the students, gifts and talents are different than spiritual gifts. Obviously, I was at a public high school, so I couldn't go that route.
Sure.
But yeah, here we're talking more about, your different spiritual gifts that you were given that really come in handy, though, for your business, your ministry, and your mission.
Yeah, that's I'm so glad that you said that, Dory, because I think that's something that sometimes we just take into, I know I do sometimes, just assume people know what we're talking about on one or the other, and it's really hard. It gets messy sometimes when we're talking about these things and going back and forth between one or the other. But I also think that we wouldn't have the parables of the talents if we also weren't supposed to be stewarding properly those treasures that God gives us as well, that are what are we good at, and things like that. So I think that there is a lot of crossover between those gifts of the Spirit and gifts that God gives us, that are our talents and giftings.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I always say we have spiritual gifts, we have natural gifts and endowments that God has placed upon us and given us, and we have talents and we have skills. I call that it's our spirit design skill set. That's what I call it. That's my name. Don't y'all take it?
I love it.
Already trademarked. It's getting don't mess with me. Don't mess with my don't do it. It's mine. Okay. If you want to use it, let me know.
We will give you credit.
But it is your spirit design skill set, because God does give us the natural things as well too. I think about Brayhan after he went through therapy and didn't know he could play a piano and a bass guitar by ear, not with any notes, by ear, and didn't know he could draw. And I think about things like that. But then I also think about how he has grown into and is growing into his spiritual gifts, understanding more about what those are, that he is not just a natural encourager, but he is spiritually endowed to be an encourager. That is a gift for him as well too, and you look at things like that and you go, wow. Even from a child, you have this little hint of, when you accept Christ, the spiritual gifts that God has given you to move into, because there's a specific purpose for spiritual gifts too. And as you were talking, Alicia, and I thought about the fruit of the Spirit, right? And how we need to align those with our spiritual gifts, because you kind of mentioned that. This is why so many people go around and say, oh, this is such a heavy assignment. Oh, this is so heavy. Oh, this is so heavy. Then there's a gift, a fruit of the Spirit you're not taking on. Something that you're not taking on, for you to say it's that heavy, when Jesus said that his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And so there's something missing there, and we have to figure out what that is. Are you missing peace? Do you not have joy? Are you struggling with love in that? Forbearance, being patient, because if it's heavy, then there's a core piece of Christ that you're missing, which is, to me, that's when I look at the fruit of the Spirit, that's the core character of our Savior, like the core character of Jesus. So what's missing? And I think that when we look at it in that way and we go, okay, let me figure out which part of the fruit I'm missing. Because if you're missing a little part, oh, we lost Alicia. If you're missing a little part, right, you might be missing a little bit of the whole part, because the fruit is whole. It's, people take and they slice up an apple for fruit. They say fruits of the Spirit. No, fruit of the Spirit. It is whole. It is all encompassing. So these are things that we must be practicing and working towards and moving like. These should be pieces of our character. And if we align ourselves with that thing while we're moving in our spiritual gift, while we're doing those things and advancing the kingdom, it won't be heavy. It might be weighty, but it won't be heavy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so good. I like to say this, and I actually had this in the rapid fire. I like to say that the kingdom comes in seed form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what that looks like is God is always going to give us a little bit of what we need. And he's also expecting us to um, grow and mature in the rest of what we need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think about a kid. Like, imagine you give a kid an actual gift, a car or a guitar or whatever you've given them, right? When they're immature and someone upsets them, what do they do with their gift? They withhold their gift. Or they'd be like, oh, you can't play with this. This is mine. And my mom gave me. And they're so immature and they act a certain type of way with it, not recognizing that the gift that they have is better when it's shared with the world around them, right? And that's ultimately what God wants to do with us. He's teaching us how to be more like him, right? So he'll give us a gift, he'll give us a part of who he is. And it's irrevocable and you can utilize it and whatever, but there's a way to utilize those gifts and be mature. I
Mm-hmm.
could prophesy from an immature place and be really, really accurate, really accurate. But God has revealed the secret to you about someone else. And if you're callous and you're not operating with the fruit of the spirit, starting the main one being love, and you build upon that one with all the rest of them. If you don't start with that, now you can take something that's sensitive information and mishandle it and actually cause a wound when God revealed something to you through your gift that was supposed to bring healing and nourishment to people's soul. And so that's
Right.
why I really wanted to take the time to pause in between talking about the spiritual gifts, because those are powerful and we absolutely need to operate in those spiritual gifts. But if we don't take the time to make sure that we are, like the title says here, the leading of the spirit produces fruit.
Mm-hmm.
When we're led by the spirit, we should prove that we're God's children, right? Those that are the children of God are those that are led by the Spirit are the sons and daughters of God, right? So we prove that we're actually his children by learning how to be led. And the Holy Spirit will continually unravel more of what we need to look like to operate in its fruit, in his fruit,
Mm-hmm.
in love, in joy, in peace, in forbearance, in kindness, and adding upon that so that the very gift that we have is becoming amplified and magnified to the world around us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Yes, as his children, we have one job: to love. And
Mhm.
in the rapid fire, you mentioned that it is good for our business to display God's gifts for humanity, but what we present doesn't matter if it doesn't reflect God's essential nature of love. That is the truth.
Mhm.
That is the truth.
Mhm.
That is the truth.
That's it. And we're supposed to display who God is in ever increasing measure. That's why I believe when you read certain versions of the fruit of the spirit, it says, but the fruit of the spirit is love, and then add to your love joy. And one version says add to, right?
Yes.
Because we're supposed to be doing ever increasing measure,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Once you get this love piece down, then now you can have a joy for oh man, I can't. When I go to prophesy here, man, I just prophesy there because I love them. But then you can actually get to the point because you love them. Eventually, you know what? I love these people. I'm gonna find joy in this, even though they don't receive me right now. They finna get this work, and so you
Mhm.
actually you can add joy to that love, right? And so it's a sign of our matriculating in maturity, I believe,
Yeah.
if we can add the fruit of the spirit to whatever gift we have, right? We have
Mhm.
multiple gifts and there's multiple fruit, and there's always a place or opportunity for more growth.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny that you mentioned that you have to have love to have joy, to have peace, to have
Yep.
it. You can't have just like you can't go, okay, well, I'm gonna have patience today. Okay, well, what about peace, joy, love? Because in order to have
Yeah.
patience, you have to have peace. In order to have peace, you have to have joy. In order to have joy, you have to have love, right? So think about self-control. Listen, you can't manage yourself and your emotions if you don't have all those other things, the gentleness, the faithfulness,
Right.
the goodness, and all of those things play into how we move in our gifting, how we exhibit it, how we, you can try to prophesy to me all day long. But if I don't see love in it, and what I see is you trying to punish me through what you're sharing with me, or you, like Phil said, if you're not carrying love, because love would say, this is not the time or the place for me to prophesy to her about this. Let me share this with her later. Right. Because if God reveals a thing to you, I remember when my son was the week that my son was taken by his father, I had an event to go to and I didn't want to go. And my friend said, come on, you're going to go. And God had revealed to the woman who was running with the host what had happened. He revealed it to her. Now I sat through that whole conference not saying anything. And she called me up and she said, something happened this week. And I know what it is, but I'm not going to share. But what I want to do is pray for you. Well, my thing was, all these people are here, and how are they going to know what we're praying for? Because I'm a huge believer. When someone says I have an unspoken request, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to pray for you. But sometimes you need to share that unspoken request with people. And so I shared with them what was going on, and the experience that day was so phenomenal. But she wasn't going to tell my secret because love compelled her to wait to talk to me later, right? To maybe even pray with me later or see how she could help or assist me getting my son back. And so I will never forget that. And then there have been times when people have spoken things about me in front of people, and I'm just like, yeah, but this wasn't the time or the place about that. That's why I'm so funny about prophecy, y'all. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. But I am. But this is the very reason why, because people are not carrying the fruit of the spirit when they're going out and they're prophesying to people. They're not carrying. I see it all day on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so needed. Like, it really like is compounded in my mind that people have to get this, right? Because so often in at work or whatever the environment is, at church, in school, people are enamored by gifts, by people's ability, right? And it's good. Those abilities are good, but it is such a weird thing to be so enamored with your own ability that you feel like you have to showcase, and you don't really think about what's best for the situation. Right. And so as the father of this movement, it's like I wanted to make sure the gifts, we're going after the spiritual gifts. I want you to operate in your spiritual gifts. You can't withhold your spiritual gift. But before we get there, let's think about your character. Let's think about the fruit of the spirit too. Because when you're operating your spiritual gift, you're running through the filter of, okay, is this loving? Is this going to bring joy? Will this be peaceful for this person?
Right.
Am I showing forbearance? Right? Is this kind? Is this going to be good? Is this faithful? Is it gentle? Right? We have to work through those filters, because it takes, like, the one thing I think about a lot of times is the younger you are, the less you think about what you do. But if we say that we're kingdom-driven entrepreneur, we're motivated by seeing an increase of the kingdom of God on the earth. By our very nature, we're saying that we want to be the mature sons and daughters of God, right?
Right.
Which means that we have to do the work of thinking ahead, not just going with what is before us, right? We have to think, okay, how is this going to work out? What does this look like? And that's what the mature do. A parent actually thinks about what's good for other people's children as well. They don't just do whatever they want to do. Like, they do what they do in their house. They're thinking about the good of their kids. But if someone else's kid is around, they're thinking about what's good for them. But the immature don't think like that. Let's say it's a teenager. They don't care about I don't care about your kid as much as I care about having my way. Right? Let's not be teenagers. Let's not remain teenagers. Let's put it that way. Let's continue to progress. Let's continue to grow in ever increasing measure. And it's going to take us applying those fruits, the fruit of the spirit, to all of our gifts. I know I sound like a broken record, but I have to keep bringing different angles because someone's got to get. We got to get it.
We have to get
Yeah.
it. We have to get it because what it does is it causes an imbalance in the work that we're doing to advance the kingdom. It causes an imbalance. This is why so many. This is us lacking, and I say us because I'm quite sure all of us look at the fruit of the spirit. We're like, yeah, I need to really work on my patience, right? So, you know, and if we're not, this is why so many people look at us and go, you call yourself, you said you believe Jesus, you believe in Jesus, you a Christian. You know, it's why we have so many issues with people on the outside looking in, because we're not exhibiting properly the fruit of the
Right.
spirit. But we want to go prophesy to them, we want to go, you know, give them a word of wisdom, give them a word of knowledge, and give them all, and they don't it's not coming across because you're giving it out of just this okay, wow, vanity.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Vanity is what a lot of people do when they are exhibiting, well, I have you know, I have this fruit, this spiritual gift, and let me tell you, I can teach.
Hmm.
And because I can teach the word, I probably know better than you. Just because you can break it down and teach it, I'm a teacher, but trust me, I'm always learning. Teaching
Mhm.
is one of my spiritual gifts. But the best teachers are the best learners. So the minute you think that you can't learn from somebody, that's dangerous.
Yep.
You know, I'm a teacher. I speak at conferences quite often, but I also engage in the conference. Well, who do I want to go learn from? Where do I want to go? I don't go to the speaker's room and just sit in there and wait till my turn because
Right.
I think I'm all
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. You know, Latara, sometimes people have shared a word with me, and I'll ask them, is this a word from God or is this your opinion?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's their opinion.
Yeah, which is why we have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard because any spiritual gift partnered with idolatry is going to be a perverted spiritual gift.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we have to examine our hearts for sure when we're operating in gifts of the spirit, because if you know if we are our idol and we think we know everything, or we're not
Mhm.
looking to God, if he's not first and foremost, then there's always going to be a problem. If money is what we idolize, then there will always be a taint to whatever gifting we're operating in. It will always be tainted by whatever thing that we are idolizing in our life. And I think it's really important to examine that and ask God to prune those idols out of our life.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And for some people, for many people, spiritual gifts becomes an idol.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
idolize
Yeah.
the spiritual gifts, right? And
Yep.
and we idolize the spiritual gifts. We make them, you know, we put them on in stair step. We level them like this is the top spiritual gift, and then this one.
Yep.
There is nowhere in the word where it says what a top spiritual gift is. I haven't read it. Have y'all read it? I've never read it.
Nope.
I've never read anything that said that this is a top spiritual gifts, right? I've never read that. But I think about how you see it displayed in the church, how you see it displayed, you know, even in the marketplace, how you see it displayed.
Hmm.
But I just think about as a little girl going to church, how I thought that the pastor was more important than the usher, you know, and that
Yep.
the usher might even been a little bit more important than me sitting in the pew. Because I'm just sitting in the pew. That's all I'm
Hmm.
doing. Right. But we have that mentality, even when we are carrying forth and moving in our spiritual and moving in the spiritual gifts. This is why it's so important to take on the fruit of the spirit, so that we don't see that hierarchy, because there's no hierarchy
Mhm.
amongst us. It's
Yeah.
the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit on the throne. That's the, you know, that's there, us, and then the angels. Did y'all catch
Right.
that? Like, that's it.
Mhm.
Not the throne, the bishop, the apostle, the pastor, the
Right.
teacher. That's not it.
Mhm.
That's right.
We're
Yeah.
all on an even playing field.
And it's all about what gift is needed for any given moment in time.
Yes.
or what gift God wants to pull on
Yeah.
or utilize. I remember being in a church service, and this was before I had received the gift of being able to speak in tongues. Right, I had heard it when I was a kid, and I was like, "Huh." This one woman in the corner of the church was speaking tongues. I was at a Baptist church, so the church as a whole, they didn't speak in tongues, and I'm not even sure they believed in it, but they never gave her any issues, right? But as an adult, I'm in this church and I'm sitting there, and the pastor from the front of the stage was like speaking in tongues, but it seemed like it was a performance. Like he was speaking tongues. I believe he was speaking actual tongues. He was operating in the gift, but I feel like it was from a place of uh look at me or whatever. Maybe it wasn't look at me, but it was some type of immaturity there, right? And even as someone that didn't have the gift and didn't know much about it, I felt something was off there, right? Fast forward maybe a month, 2 months later, I wound up having an encounter in church where high praise was happening in the church, and from I saw a wave of almost like it looks like the fume when you're pumping gas, how you see the vapors.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that wave come from the front of the church where they were doing praise and worship, and everywhere it touched, people started speaking in tongues. It hit me and the wife. I started speaking in tongues. She started speaking in tongues. That was the first time we ever had any encounter with it. But there was a clear difference between when God was on something and when man was just operating in the gift, not being led by the Spirit of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we don't want that to be our testimony as kingdom driven entrepreneurs. We want every time we go to use the tools that God has given us, we're applying that gift from the place of this is how God intended for us to use it in this season or at this time. I think about Moses when he struck the rock. He struck the rock twice, and both times water came out. So functionally, it did what it was supposed to do. But the second time, he had the wrong attitude, and
Yeah.
it caused him to not be able to enter the promised land. Right. So it's not just about doing the right things, operating in the right gifts. We have to have the right heart, and we have to be sensitive to the Spirit to make sure that we are flowing in the right fruit in any given season.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
good.
That's good.
Now, Phil, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, so I didn't know anything about spiritual gifts. All I knew was, I had these strange things that I didn't know what to do with. It's like, well, how do I know this stuff about people? Or, dreams and visions, things like that would happen. And, nobody was there to explain it to me. So I thought, oh man, this is pretty scary. I don't think I really want to have this, whatever it is, anymore. It wasn't until I was an adult that I figured it out and realized, oh, okay, I'll take those back now. Obviously, he never took them away. I refused to use them because they scared me, and I didn't want to know things about people and want, gifted knowledge, prophecy, whatever. I didn't know what any of that was called, and people were asking me, "Do you have ESP? Are you intuitive?" And I'm like, no. And then I started reading the Bible more. To keep in mind, we didn't even have a Bible at home. Okay. So I had to do all of this on my own as an adult, but I was always seeking. So, God honored that.
Yeah.
You're never too old to learn something new, people. So there you go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are many homes that are Christian that aren't teaching their children to even understand what their spiritual gifts are, even what the fruit of the Spirit is.
Right.
It's being it's being taught at Vacation Bible School, but right. Well, fruit of the Spirit is anyway, but spiritual gifts, you'd be amazed that a lot of churches still don't talk about it, and a lot of families don't talk about
Right.
Yeah.
spiritual gifts, and they try to say it's not necessary anymore. Some do, and I'm like, no, the gifts are very necessary. They are still necessary. They are still needed, and you need to operate in it. And all of them are still needed because that whole I think it's in Romans where it starts talking about the body and how important one part is to the other, and that's where it talks about the spiritual gifts. So if someone has a spiritual gifts of helps, and I have a spiritual gift of teaching, I need that gift. I need that gift of help. That's important for me to have in a season of teaching, and so I think that having these conversations around the spiritual gifts is important because, again, unfortunately, there are a lot of my kids know their spiritual gifts because I made them take tests when they were like early enough to understand, you know, old enough to understand what it was we were talking about. I mean, I had an inkling of what they had, but so let's get some confirmation if I think that what I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. And then I began to hey, they're blessed to have a mother who's been studying these things for like 30 years, spiritual gifts, right? So we talked about what the gifts meant and how to begin to kind of train and move yourself in that thing. And that's important too. This is why a lot of people are so stuck on the vanity part, because they're not being properly trained in what spiritual gifts, how to use them and how to move forward. Paul, that's why he ended up with Barnabas. He had to have some training because he had been a murderer before, moving in the gifts. He was a murderer. So he was doing it incorrect in the name of God. That's what he called a murderer. That's what he was saying. So there was some training that had to happen in that period with him and Barnabas.
Yeah, Latara, it's really important to not only know what your spiritual gifts are, but to know how to steward them properly.
Yeah. But you can't do that without the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Right.
All goes around.
That's it. So it all plays together, right? God. So, but this is it. God so beautifully orchestrates everything for us. We can't sit back and try to cherry pick what we like or what we want. If we try to implement everything that we know to the best of our ability, He'll keep highlighting exactly what the next thing is that we need, and we will be complete, not lacking any good thing.
Right.
And so I want to read this last paragraph again, because I know we kind of got off like, almost like bad. Don't operate in your gifts the wrong way. But like the whole purpose behind it is good for our business to display God's gifts for humanity. But what we present doesn't matter if it doesn't reflect God's essential nature of love. And what does it profit our customers if they come to our place of business but don't experience joy or peace while they're there, or anything else, or we're not patient with them, or they don't experience goodness, faithfulness, self-control? It doesn't profit them very much. So we want to display God's gifts. He's given it to us for a reason. He knew exactly why he gave it to you, and he didn't make a mistake when he gave it to you, right? But as mature and maturing children, we have to, in ever increasing measure, learn how to add the fruit of the Spirit to all the gifts that we have, so that we can properly display what God wants to display to the world around us. And that's in our businesses as well.
That's good.
And that's in our businesses as well, because you can't be any different in business than you are in life. Right. So if you have a gift of teaching or discernment in the church, then you have it in your business. Because you flow everywhere. It's a part of your identity. It's a part of your makeup. It's your spirit design skill set. Again, it's mine. Do not steal it. If you try to take it, I will come and find you. What did Liam Neeson say in Taken? I will hunt you down. I will hunt you.
And that's the interesting part. If they did try to take it, they wouldn't operate in the power of it.
No.
That's the one thing I understand. Like when you borrow someone else's revelation, you haven't done the work to cultivate that thing. Just like if you were to borrow somebody else's spiritual gift, if you haven't done the work to cultivate what's needed for that spiritual gift, it's only going to be so.
Yeah, that's it. So that's all right. Y'all go on and use it because it's mine. It's funny when God always gives me terms, and when I still have this thing I call the whole and holistic approach. And I never will forget someone was trying to teach this whole, and I saw it in their copy, and I'm going, wait a minute, am I reading this right? And so I highlighted, sent it to Shay, and I'm like, and she said exactly what Phil said, but it's not. God gave it to you. That's your revelation. They could try to teach, and now trust me, I did confront the person in a kind of roundabout way about it, but they got confronted and they stopped using my information. But that whole point that Phil is making is this is why you have to know what your gifts are and move
Yep.
in with the fruit of the spirit in them. And there's no shame in any gift. Again, no gift is better than the other. That should have to be a whole conversation. That should be a whole conversation about how we highlight certain gifts and not others. But we don't have time for that right now. One day we probably are going to go over more than a minute or two because these conversations be getting gooder and gooder. And the audience was quiet today. Joy was talking, but we had a consistent 6 to 8 people, and y'all just was quiet today. We want to hear from you all, right? We want to hear from you all. We want to know what you're thinking. So, hey, you have a question? Go on and send it over to me at Latara at kingdomdrivenentrepreneur.com. You have a comment? You have some feedback? Send it over to me, Latara at kingdomdrivenentrepreneur.com. I hope this was good for you guys today. I hope it was. It was good for me.
Good conversation.
Yep.
Good conversation. So we will be back again next week. Next week, we're going to have more hosts here. And I'm super excited because let's see. Next week is the last week of the month, y'all. Wow. Oh, there's Belisa said it was so good. Great. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it because y'all was quiet. Y'all working. I know y'all working and listening at the same time. Yay. Do that thing.
We love the comments, though. So keep them coming.
Thank you. Listen, if you like this show today, make sure you share it out with someone. Let them know that we are here. If you are not subscribed to our channel over on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Did you guys know that when you subscribe, when you like, when you comment, that kind of like really helps us over on in our YouTube space? Y'all let people know we there. You get over there too. It's a whole lot more shows, many more shows you can listen. This is episode 468.
478.
Yep.
478. Yeah. So listen. 468. So listen, you all.
Okay, I'm looking at what it says up
Get
there.
on over there and make sure that you are taking the time to listen to the shows that we already have over there. Get busy listening. Share this stuff out. It's not no shame in my game, Phil. I need them to share it.
So there.
I need them to share it. So that's it. That's all. We will see you all next week. We love you guys. Bye-bye.
God bless.